And welcome everyone to another edition of Colorado Mammoth After Hours. Pleased to have you along. As always, joined by Jamie Shuchuk. Brad Self will be along to talk about a lot of the headlines coming out of the Mammoth this week. And we're pleased to be joined around 8:15 by one of the true greats, Gavin Prout, that's played for this franchise. One of Jamie's old teammates. We had said last week that maybe we'd get him on, so we'll have to talk to Gavin as we continue to kind of visit with some alumni. Bye week, so no player this week. We'll get the players on next week. Got a huge matchup Saturday morning game in Philly. A little bit of a wild start time. Jamie, is it how hard, I'll ask you as a former player, is it when you get kind of that odd start time, like an 11 o'clock game, local time, our time anyway?
Yeah, and it depends where you're traveling from. For the Ontario guys, it might be nice, quick flight the day before. But I know, guys like Jordan Gillis, who, has a full-time job during the week. He's going to be flying in Friday night, getting there in time for practice. So get a practice in and then early game. So me as a player, I enjoyed that. Just kind of get out of the way. Sometimes you do shoot around and then, you want to just get going and, you have some downtime. So I don't think it's a disadvantage at all. And, the Philly players are traveling too. So I think it's equal playing field, but definitely good opportunity for the Mammoth to, Philly's been hot lately too, and Brennan O'Neill's come on, and so definitely a big test for them.
All right, we also got to get to the matter at hand, and when Brad joins us, we'll talk to him about this. But tough news, honestly, in the background, we kind of knew this was coming, but of course, Eli McLaughlin gets accepted into the Fire Academy in BC up there, so he's no longer going to be with the team as he goes and prepares for his real life and life after lacrosse. And of course, you lose Zed Williams. So that's a righty and a lefty shooter. So you and I have talked all year about the great depth, the great rotation, how they've been able to keep things going. What do they have to do now to pick up? That's not just one, but that's two big losses and guys that have scored some big goals for you.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously love this Colorado Mammoth offense, but we talk about Eli, being the heart and the soul, and then Zed, same thing. So like they lost those two guys, but I think their culture and the way that Pat Coyle, obviously he's going to be addressing it, and it's a big loss. But I just think the message just maintain the culture, and next man up. You have no choice really, and we're curious to see what Brad has to say about guys stepping in the lineup, and are they ready? At this point in the season, where we heard last week Thomas Vela saying every game's a playoff game. So not ideal, obviously, but credit to Eli, and there's a lot of guys in the league that are thinking ahead of the curve on most professional lacrosse players. I know I didn't. All of a sudden my career was over, and it's like I gotta work. So credit to those guys for stepping in. I know firefighting has been there's a lot of lacrosse players in the past and present now that do that, and what a great community service, and credit to Eli for taking that next step in his life.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Do you think it's going to be Gibson and Gibson and Vela are probably the two guys then that we have there that'll probably be the first two at the chance at the righty and the lefty slot?
Yeah, I'd say that's obviously the next man up. I know Gibson was battling some injuries there early on, reasons why he wasn't in the lineup. So I'm sure the Mammoth will happy to have him back in. Obviously, he's familiar with the offense, familiar with that right side. But playing without Zed is definitely a different dynamic. But we always talk about how unselfish the offense is, and they're definitely a committee offense. So I think that's good when you're in these situations, is you can plug guys in when you have that mentality.
All right, I'll tell you what, we've got Gavin staying backstage, and if Gavin can hear us and wants to turn his camera on, we'll go ahead and put Gavin in a little bit early. I'm not sure what's going on with Sulphur, and frankly, I'm on a little bit of a time crunch tonight, so we're gonna keep this to about 30 minutes, around 8:30, 8:35. We'll call it good. But it's going to be interesting, Jamie. Just talk about, is Philly rank the games that are winnable in this road trip? Because look, you can't go 0-3 before you get back home. So is Philly the one? Do you like Philly the most, considering it's Buffalo and Sass after that, or how do you rank? Or Ottawa's in there too, right?
Yeah, they go Philly and then Ottawa and then in Saskatchewan. So we'll have a Sunday game in Ottawa. So I mean, I think I said in the last podcast, 2 out of 3. Obviously you want to win all 3, but realistically, if you can get 2 out of 3 on this, just build so much momentum into the last 5 games of the season for them. So winnable games. I mean, again, it's hard to predict, right? Like you would have thought the Mammoth should have handled Vegas, but Ottawa's. I think I said last time too. Like they got the best player in the world in my mind, Jeff Teat. How do you contain him? And I think it's dangerous playing those bottom feeder teams. This point of the year, but again, we keep discussing the unified standings and how easy it is to switch week by week. You can drop a lot of spots pretty quickly.
All right, let's welcome in Gavin Prout. I mean, again, one of the all-time great Mammoth players. Gavin, man, I haven't seen you since I think we all said goodbye to you. It's been a long time since I've been able to talk to Gavin, but when Jamie said he kept in touch with you, of course, we couldn't wait to catch up with you. So we appreciate you making some time tonight. What does life have you up to these days?
Well, it's keeping me busy. When you leave lacrosse, you never technically leave it. I've been keeping my time busy with being a general manager for 2 teams in the summer, which is the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, which is a senior A league. That's kind of where the players come back out of the NLL and kind of keep their talents kind of taken care of throughout the summer and in shape and whatnot, and their sticks healthy. So the other team I'm working with right now is the Brooklyn Merchants, which is the senior B, which kind of is the call-up team for the senior A team, and promoting them as much as we can for the President's Cup this coming summer.
Hey, buds.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
What's going on? Great.
Been a while,
thanks for doing this. I know you're on Eastern time. It's late out there, but this has been fun. I know the fans enjoy it, and your name came up, so figured why not invite you. So thanks for doing this. Just saying what you're doing now after lacrosse. Not a lot of guys stick with the game. A lot of guys do, but I think I know I struggled. And I got released, and it's like, damn, what do I do now, right? And I know you've always had a successful career and outside of lacrosse, but just explain. Like, I know you were assistant coach in Rochester. You coached the Team Canada World Juniors, right? So obviously you're at the highest level. How was that transition for you, going from having a great playing career, one of the best in my mind of all time, and you're still giving back to the game, and it's hard to get away from. I know I can't.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of finding your niche, right? When just like anything in life, I think is you have to deal with the consequences of not playing. That's kind of getting over that hump of you're no longer good enough, or your body no longer allows you to do what you love to do, and then it's trying to figure out what the next step is, and trying to give back to the game or still contribute as much as you can, whether it be knowledge, whether it be coaching, whether it be GMing, and et cetera, et cetera. It could be clinics, as well as on-field broadcasting, right? Just like yourself. So it comes down to, what you enjoy the most. And lacrosse is something that I truly love, and I will love for the rest of my life. And just finding that opportunity to give back and with the right fit for myself and my lifestyle, couldn't ask for anything better.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. So Brad Self just jumped on, so let's add Brad, because I think, Brad, did you get to play with Gavin as well? You guys have all played, I think, in roughly the same time, so we'll do a little catch-up time, and then, Gavin, we'll cut you around 8:20 or 10:20 your time. We'll let you get back to maybe getting some sleep on this daylight savings end, and then we'll talk some business with Brad Self. But Gavin, let me do this. Favorite Mammoth memory for you, because you and I got lucky enough to talk to you a lot. I was on the TV towards the end of your run with the Mammoth, and we all remember the Calgary hit, right? The great hit in Calgary, made the highlight reel forever. Used to be on our Sizzle Fire Up reel before the game. But what's your favorite memory with the Mammoth?
Well, I'm not sure if Sean Cable remembers that one, but I do myself remember that hit. And,
I was on the floor and McNish grabbed me. Yeah, not good.
There's so many memories that I have with Colorado, and the easiest one to say is winning that championship with the Mammoth in 2006. But in all essence, there's just so many to mention. The first goal that I scored in overtime, and I jumped on the boards, and the fans were there, and just going crazy. Right down to just the friendships and the relationships we make in the dressing rooms together, the lifelong friends that we create. throughout our journey of lacrosse, and Colorado was certainly no different. I actually, as a matter of fact, just saw Jamie Hanford up in Toronto 2 weeks ago. He was up there with his son's hockey team and made some time to get together. And it's like, I think, Jamie and Brad can both attest to this, is, when you see the guys, it's almost like nothing's changed. You saw them yesterday or the day before, and even though you haven't spoken to them for a couple of years, type of thing. And that's what I think is special about lacrosse and sports in general.
All right, I got a question for all three of you, and we'll start. Let's go Gavin, Brad, and Jamie, because I do want to know all your thoughts. Are you impressed with where the league has gone? I can remember when I first heard about this league as an American here in the dead Midwest. I didn't know much about box lacrosse. When I first saw Gary Gady, he was playing for Syracuse, right? I didn't know there was such a thing as a box league. And then I think they were playing for the Detroit Power. So, of course, we all love the Gates. So I had to go hunt out whatever, go hunt out wherever it was on ESPN. Finally found it there after they left Syracuse and went on to their pro careers. You guys have all played in this league. As we sit here today in 2025, are you impressed where it's at?
I like the way the league has gone. I think having some stronghold on ownerships and financial backing that they had now that they hadn't had in the past. There are a lot of teams that kind of folded, by night. And nowadays I think there's a lot more financial strength in the marketplaces that the teams are in. And the fans are continuing to come. I was last year at the Colorado game. There's still plenty of fans that I recognize, but there's all sorts of new ones that are coming out on a game-by-game basis, which is fantastic to see. Besides that, we also have a TSN once a week, which is our sports network up in Canada. Every Friday night, we get to see a live game, which we never used to get for the most part, unless you're a part of Altitude Package when we played. But it's nice to see, the broadcasting is coming along, more exposure is coming along. I think the players are relishing in this kind of aspects.
Brad, how about you?
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, we've played, all three of us, right? Some of us, I think we'd have to look back to figure out which teams were in the league when we were all playing in it, right? Because there were some that were in and out in a blink of an eye, right? And as a player, you're just thankful that you obviously got a team to play on and you got a team to play against, right, as competitors. But, I think I'd agree, right, for sure with Prouter, just some stability. I know people, you see franchises go and, we haven't gotten one back, right? But it's really important for the league's growth to have stability, right, in ownerships and franchises that can last, and not a knock on past people that have invested in the league. Super appreciative. Obviously, we wouldn't have had a job without those owners in the league to play in, but really feel confident with the ones that we do have now. And I know Brett, his focus is on that and making the league, I would say, stable with the franchises that we currently have, and then selectively adding ones that he feels right, or the other ownership feel strongly about as far as being a part of the league for a long period of time.
Jamie, I know you love this league as much as anybody I've met. You and I talked beginning of the year, and you're like, we got to get people to fall in love with it. It's such a great sport. How are you with where we're at?
Yeah, I think, I got two things to add. I think, obviously, every player in the league is so athletic now and so skilled. I mean, I think that's just any sport, how it evolves. Hockey is way different than it was in the 80s than it is now. And I think lacrosse is going through that, that evolution of, and I'm sure, Brad, you're being a GM, you're seeing that, like, just everybody's good and everybody can play. And, I think that's a testament, but also too, like, obviously bias being here in Colorado and just seeing the youth grow because of the Colorado Mammoth and lacrosse. I mean, Brad's seeing it with his son now, and, just like everybody's playing lacrosse now. And it wasn't like that. I've been in Colorado since 2008. And, in the last 5-10 years, it's just absolutely exploded. And I think that's a testament to having a solid franchise like Colorado, so these kids can actually come to games and look up to. And obviously we're spoiled with DU and the Denver Outlaws. But, I think, yeah, it's a great time to be a lacrosse player in the NLL, I think.
Gavin, did you have a chance, unfortunately, look, I hate to say unfortunately, because I'm really happy for Eli. It's hard to get into a Fire Academy. There's, he's got bigger things going on in life, and I'm never going to root against the guy. There's a lot of life. You just talked about it. Gavin and Jamie said it before you jumped on. Brad knows. Everybody in sports tells me there's only about this many guys that get to say I'm done with this. And Gavin, I think in a way you did, but most of the league tells you when you're done, no matter what the league is, right? So you got to have plans for after. Have you followed Eli since you left the team? I mean, he was kind of the one coming up. I know. I want to say Govett did told me a couple things about how excited he was about Eli back when he was a rookie, and they were trying to figure out what to do, because when I think of Gavin Prout, I think of goal scoring. Have you followed Eli at all? Were you impressed how he's grown his career and what he became?
Oh, absolutely. I try to watch as many Colorado games as I can. To me, that's still my team. And anytime I have the opportunity online or even get to a game occasionally here and there, Eli's one of the guys I still chat with over text, actually. And it's great that he has that career that he's focusing on at this point. It's unfortunate for the team at that point of view, but at the end of the day, you got to focus on what's going to produce at the end of your career, not what's going to go on for the next 5-10 years. Maybe you have to look for a lifestyle. And, I had the opportunity to see him in the summer as well. He played for Six Nations against us in the summer, and just watching him flourish and his game flourishing, picking up nuances from all the players that he's played with in the summer ball and using those. And he's one of those players that's just dynamic, just to watch. He can create his own shots. He can shoot off ball. He can find the openings inside. He's just a complete offensive player. Absolutely.
What's the one thing you miss the most about the game or game days or the boys or whatever it is?
Well, it's definitely the relationships. It's it's when you stop playing, it's almost like a part of your family falls apart, and you try to keep in touch as much as possible. But as we all know, people have different responsibilities and families and priorities, and it's no longer lacrosse, but you try to do the best you can. And I do miss seeing guys on a weekly basis every single day, and hearing about their adventures throughout the week, and just kind of bonding that way. And that's one of the things I truly miss. Thank goodness I can still get into a dressing room and start talking to the guys from a different perspective as a general manager now, but it's always kind of difficult when you leave the game that way.
Before we cut him free, Jamie, anything you want to ask him? I just, we got to move on, talk some business with Brad. And like I said, I got to kind of cut this thing down because there's some real life going on upstairs. But
yeah,
what do you want to talk to him about?
Yeah, so I mean, you got a few years on me. I'm turning 40 this year.
Do I? Oh man, yeah.
I am broken down. How are you feeling?
You know what?
And you were a scrappy player, man. You got in the mix. You got in the dirty areas. I know you got beat up, and you're one of the guys I learned to add. Like, I saw you all padded up. You had all this extra shit tied on, and it's like, yeah, I got to do that because that hurts, right? And so how are you feeling now?
The body still hurts. There's no question. I think it's always going to hurt. The joints are never going to be the same, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I feel a lot better now than what I do on a Sunday morning or a Monday morning after a game. I'm not going to lie to you there. And that there's no cuts or bruises that I can attain to at this point in time. But, now my pains are like shoveling snow. That's what's sad. How old we're getting, where you dread going out there and shoveling some snow. But in all seriousness, no, the body's good. It's nice to be able to get up in the morning and not, hobble across to the bathroom or, kind of stumble down the stairs because your body doesn't react the way it should be after games. But it's, as I said, I wouldn't change it for the world. The way I treated my body throughout the game of lacrosse is kind of the way I look at life. Is you go hard all the time, you do your best, and you don't hold back.
Gavin, we appreciate you making time tonight, man. We might have to do it again. The Loud House loves you. The Mammoth fans love you. It's good to hear you doing well. I'm glad you still have your hands in the game, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate everything, guys. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk soon, all right?
See you,
that's our guy. Gavin Prout. The last time I was with Gavin, I told Jamie, Brad, wait, where'd Brad? Hold on. Get Brad. I don't know what. I did not do that, Brad. Anyway.
I was late. That's because I was late. I was getting into a game of speed with my daughter, and then I looked at the time. So.
Hey, look, it's okay. That's what's great about a podcast. We're not hardcore on TV.
I was just playing Harry Potter Guess Who. So.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about.
He was doing Magic the Gathering. Yeah. Anyway, the last time I saw Gavin, man, we were driving around in a Range Rover doing a car interview that we thought we'd get this series going, and then didn't happen quite that way. We didn't wreck the car, so I don't know what they were worried about, but we had a nice little drive. All right, Brad, let's get your comments. I know as a GM, it's a tough week, and I know everybody, when you're close to guys and you've been around Eli a long time, you always wish for the best, but just talk about what's the challenge for you trying to replace both Zed and Eli, one guy from each side of the offense now as far as shooting?
Yeah, I mean, if you're referring to as we went into the trade deadline, obviously, my job is to try to make our team better. Certainly, losing those two guys, right? So unique in their skill set. That's not something there's no other player that's like a Zed Williams, honestly, that physically dominant, maybe not necessarily on the set points, but what he does for our team from an offensive side of things, making room for people, with and without the ball. He's just such a impactful player, again, with or without it. And then Eli, the player he's grown into, right? Like we talk about our offensive leader, Prouter touched on it, man. I consider him one of the best players in the world with and without the ball on the stick. There's some that are so dominant with it and they're elite. I wouldn't put Eli maybe necessarily in the Dane Smith category with the ball, but when you look at if you understand the game and you watch how Eli plays without it, he truly is one of the best players in the world with and without the ball. So you can't just call up a GM and say, "Hey man, do you feel bad for me? Can you give me somebody comparable to Eli and Zed?" So, we did the rounds, we made our calls, we pushed, we did what we can, but we added Will Malcolm, right, for free, with the Panther City folding. I mean, Connor Robinson's, having a great year and has for the past few years, right, since we've gotten him. Thomas Vela is a guy that's been playing as a 4, that I think you see when he gets, minutes, the energy that he brings, and has been a guy that has had comparable points to Will Malcolm in the summertime. And when he's, going through his junior, obviously a couple years younger, and as a 50-goal guy in junior, and now, his first-year senior, he's going to get some extra touches, and we're confident that he's going to be able to go in and produce. We, on our right side, and I keep talking about it with guys and our staff, and they're fully aware. We're confident with our group. So Ryan Lee's back. Like, he's producing at a high level. He's going to get more touches. He's continued to get better every single game, and he's back. He's not, I would say, back physically. He's always been there mentally as far as being an on-floor leader, and you're seeing that game in and game out. Connor Kelly is an elite shooter, goal scorer. We're dynamic. Tyson Gibson, unfortunately, was, kind of odd man out a little bit with where we were at, and he's a former first overall pick. We have depth. Benny McDonald obviously was on the holdout, but won Rookie of the Year in the WLA last year. People probably aren't aware of that, but scored 40 goals. So he's going to get an opportunity here. And, if you look back at our championship year, we all know what our roster was, and it was really good. It was a championship team. Sam Firth had not played a game for us, was scored in the championship game. Dylan Kinnear was in and out of the lineup and was playing as our 3. Chris Wardle was probably one of the best 3s in the league because of his ability to understand and commit to the inside, but he played as our 2 because Eli was out. Connor Robinson played as our number 1 lefty that game.
McIntyre too.
On the other side of the floor, Zed, right? Ryan Lee was out for our entire playoff. Zed went to a different level, sure. Tyson was new to the team and not fully, immersed himself in our concept. That was normal, right? We had him at the trade deadline. It's tough. Had played really well for us. Brett McIntyre was not an everyday guy and was an everyday guy in the playoffs. So, it comes down to, yes, sure, we try to add but we have the best goalie in the world. And when he's on, and our defense has started to obviously come together. Our young guys on the back end, Owen Down, Warren's gone to another level. Brett Craig coming back in the lineup is huge for us. Jordan Gillis has played tremendous. Timmy Edwards has grown into a leader, man. That guy has no quit to him. Obviously, Robert Hope, man. He's probably one of the best captains in the world. So we can go up and down our lineup, and we're going to miss those guys tremendously, but it's up to our guys in our room to have a belief like we did the year we won the championship. And we get talent all over our lineup and character. So, Owen Ron has the ability to play on both sides of the ball. Jalen Chaster has the ability to play on both sides of the ball, something that we really coveted that we feel like we didn't have in the past, especially on the right hand side. And Owen Ron gives us that flexibility to obviously play him up or back, right, depending on who plays well on the left or right side of the floor. So we got options. Trade deadline's done. There's nothing we can do about Zed and Eli being out, and life goes on. and we're ready to get to it and compete and see and we know what team we have. We got our work cut out for us, whether they're in the lineup or not, with how close the league is, but we're excited for showing people obviously what
you're getting me excited, man. You're getting me fired up here. You
got to believe.
Literally went through your entire roster, and that's Colorado Mammoth, man. That's the way you guys have been the last few seasons, and with you and Patty at the helm, it's that's what I get excited about. It's the culture, and you guys, I love it, dude. I love the positivity. And I agree with you. Obviously I said it earlier. Zed and Eli are the heart and soul of that offense, and but I think just the way your guys' room is, and you always talk about them being unselfish up front, like it's go time, right? And you're going to play for those guys, and it's like what other choice do you have? And I love that. I think that's great mentality. But yeah, you guys are deep, so talk about that, like Vela, getting the opportunities, and Gibson getting back in the lineup. Are there any other guys? Ben McDonald you mentioned, but any other guys that may get a sniff, for this run for the playoffs?
For sure. I think you might see Jalen up front this weekend with our depth on the back end. I can't say for certain. Owen's nursing a little bit of an injury, so Ron will be out this weekend, but potentially seeing him up front at some point. Benny McDonald, you're going to see him for sure. And again, I think he can shoot the ball and he can score goals. So we're going to encourage him to do that. It's not going to be sit around and wonder when Zed and Eli are going to be back. It's go time. It's time for people to step up. So you're going to see, people are going to, we know who our guys are, right? Expectations go up for Will, Connor, Ryan Lee, Connor Kelly, but they're more than capable of handling it. And then these young guys are going to get an opportunity, and that's how they should look at it, to be a big part of obviously our success moving forward here.
All right. I got to cut this down. I got things going on upstairs, so I apologize to both of you. We got a dog that's a little out of sorts here right now, so I need to go handle some stuff. Do appreciate you stopping by a lot, Brad. We'll talk to you again, I'm sure, before the season's over. The playoff push has begun. The league calls it the March to May. We're officially in it. You got a good start to it on March 1st. The next phase of it goes this weekend, 3 road games, and we need to get everyone back out to the Loud House, right?
That's
back
right.
out to the Loud House for a couple of big matchups and try to lock down this playoff spot. So
the louder the better for us. They're part of it, so we need them as loud as they can.
All right. Well, everybody have a good night. Again, Brad, thank you. We appreciate it. Jamie, I appreciate you doing your work as well. And we'll just talk to everybody next week, hopefully after a Mammoth win on Mammoth After Hours. Good night, everyone.